Hello people, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. This is Sorins and today we're gonna talk about the Kapazander 3 Prototype 07HK, the tier 9 tank destroyer from Germany that you can get yourself from the token store for 27 hardened battle pass tokens. This vehicle is a bit hard to review at first sight because it is more of more like a Street Fan 030, but it's not really a cheese wedge in that kind of way. It's more like a Kunze because they have the same travel and fight mode, where you have good DPM in the travel mode, but really bad DPM and better gun handling in the sniper mode. So it's more of a Kunze without a turret, to say so. And if you don't know, if you never played the Kunze, keep in mind that this vehicle has, of course, the travel mode, which we're going to use right now to get into this position. As you can see, we're moving fast. Don't have the most gun depression. What we're going to do, use the siege mode. We're going to get now 15 degrees of gun depression, and we can work at this ridge line while being really pinpoint accurate. Now we can see this guy. We're poking a lot. We're trying to use our 15 degrees of gun depression. Yes, gameplay over here, rocking back and forth, using 0.29 accuracy. We don't manage to connect, don't worry, we get out of that siege mode. We're gonna put ourselves into travel mode to have 3000 DPM. Now we're by reloading and we're gonna get accurate once again. We pick this guy once again, we are being accurate and we manage to connect the shot. Now, once again, travel mode is taking us 2 seconds to switch that from 11.8 second reload all the way down to 8.7 or how much I have. So yeah, you have always to switch from travel mode to siege mode to travel mode to increase your DPM. But the slight issue with this vehicle, we don't really have a fixed amount of how long it's gonna take to switch. I think it's 3 seconds, but considering this tank reloads in 6.5 seconds by default, you will either play in siege mode or travel mode. Why is that? Well, let's see. So first of all, we have a 360 alpha damage, which is a bit worse than those two vehicles in the comparison, which means your rate of fire by default is 6.5 seconds, meaning with a turbo, with a rammer, with food, with Brothers you can perma-track enemies for sure, which is more like a tortoise kind of gameplay, which by the start I really like. 3313 is the highest DPM at tier 9, actually the second highest because there is the tortoise that holds the first class, but yeah, this tank is no joke when it comes to damage dealer. You have really good APCR pen, but the penetration on the APCRs is not the best. It's 260, which is more like a medium vehicle, whereas the cheese wedge get itself 308 on standard and 350 APCR pen on its gold shells, which means that tank can, wherever it's gonna hit, it's gonna go through no matter what. Talking about this vehicle, once your premium shells are gonna be hit with 1020 shell velocity, which is not not really like the worst, but you know, you can still do the job. But the main focus of this vehicle, once you're gonna get into that siege mode, you're gonna be accurate and you don't really matter how much penetration. If you have to 330 is like 320 is gonna be good enough to aim for weak points and penetrate them reliable. So 105mm caliber, meaning you cannot overmatch 35mm plays by default. You have plenty of ammunition to work with, which is always really nice because you're not gonna fire like, if you're gonna fire 12 rounds a minute, actually not really 12, let's say you're gonna fire 10 rounds a minute or more, in 6 minutes you're gonna be empty, so you don't wanna do that. You wanna use your ammunition wisely, even though you have 60, which is really nice in my opinion. Gun handling we're gonna talk about later because this thing, it's the gun handling, we're gonna have to speak about more points whilst comparing them. So we're gonna go straight to the mobility. 65 km/h top speed, which is pretty much like the Kunze. The power to weight ratio is great. I mean, it's part on par with the Kunze. This vehicle is 39 tons, which means, yeah, you can like, you wish the enemy light tanks to ram into you because you're not gonna be as squishy as a Kunze. So yeah, you are pretty respectable in terms of ramming capabilities. So yeah, in terms of the ground resistance is not really good news for this vehicle because you cannot really reach 40 km an hour even on soft, or even on medium terrain. You are not gonna reach your top speed, which is a bit sad, but it is what it is. And tank traverse speed are not really good news because yeah, it's gonna take you. The SRV is gonna turn 25% faster than you, so make sure that you know what you're doing when a light tank is gonna come and do pirouettes around you. So keep that in mind. This vehicle is not gonna turn as fast as some vehicle that you know. Next, in terms of the armor, it's actually quite good news for this vehicle, just because you have 45 millimeters of hull ammo, meaning that you can ricochet 130 millimeter gun, 128 from the general like Mao, Scorpion G, Mauerbrecher, and anything like that. 122 caliber guns and so on and so forth, unlike that you can do in the Struts 1030. So this vehicle gets much better armoring versus standard rounds. Versus heat, the tank is gonna be paper, so keep that in mind. um, in terms of the hit points, this is 1450, which is not gonna last as long as his brother from the Sweden, but still 50 HP. Is it mattering? Probably not, but it is what it is. And next, the camo, it is almost as good as the Swedish, but oh boy, 23 by default and 41 maybe in this vehicle is gonna be really sneaky. And the balancing factor, the view range, 350 meters view range. Yeah, you're gonna be pretty blind, but don't worry, I got the perfect equipment for that. Now, going back to the gun handling, in the siege mode, in the travel mode, you have mediocre aiming time. I mean, the A phase 1 or heavy tanks have this kind of aiming time, so you're kind of used to that. Dispersion 0.34, which is quite decent. I mean, the M103 that A phase 1 or other tanks have pretty much the same dispersion by default, and on top of that, dispersion is 0.12, so it is actually, you can play this vehicle in the travel mode, in the DPM mode, without any problem, but the main issue can be the dispersion, actually the depression. The depression angle in this mode, in the travel mode, is 3 degrees. So yeah, you have to rely on your whole rollback. Like you have to brake fast, actually brake hard to depress your gun, and so on and so forth. But yeah, 3 degrees is gonna be limiting factor of this vehicle. But if you play the yellow wagon, the Object 268, that tank has 4 degrees, so pretty much they are similar in that kind of way, so keep that in mind. But the magic really begins when you take 3 seconds to switch into the siege mode. Let's put everyone into their siege mode. Let's update the STRV as well. So the STRV keeps the same DPM, but gets much better aiming time, better accuracy, and everyone knows how those works. Mobility gets really trash, and I think that's all about the STRV. So your DPM remains the same, but you get much better accuracy and worse mobility. But for this vehicle, the same as it does with the Kunze-Panzer, as I mentioned, you're gonna cut your DPM by like 1,000. So you kind of don't want to do that, especially if you reload for 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds, let's say, and it takes you 3 seconds to get into the mode and out of the mode, for example. So this is gonna be like the best thing, the best tank, the better Kunze-Panzer is here with its 2-second travel, like switch modes. So in this vehicle, it's gonna be whether you want to play it in the siege mode or the travel mode. Actually, the DPM mode or the travel mode. So yeah, once you're in the siege mode, your DPM is gonna go down to 2.4k, which is still respectable. I mean, it's DPM of a heavy tank, but your dispersion is gonna go down to 0.24, and now we're gonna have the full 12 degrees of gun depression, which is gonna be insane. Your dispersions are gonna go through the roof, so you don't wanna move and shoot, so you wanna be like stationarily, aim, shoot, and now you can move. And another issue, it's 4 degrees of gun traverse speed, gun traverse, so yeah, you really need to face your opponents, otherwise they're gonna get around you. So on top of that, you wanna fight only one opponent at a time. You don't wanna fight multiple opponents just because you can lock the gun on only one guy. So yeah, make sure that you know what you're doing before you buy this vehicle. Yeah, once again, this tank in its siege mode, it's much more accurate than the STRV, than the Kunzenpanzer. But once again, we are actually mobility. It's much better. It's like twice as better than the STRV. The reverse speed is still really good, so it's a much better cheese wedge in this kind of regards. I also have much better what is called much better armor on top of that. So yeah, this vehicle looks kind of solid. So it's pretty much like a Kunzenpanzer without its turret, but it's much better than the cheese wedge in that kind of regard. Now, talking about the vehicle, how you should equip it. Well, by default, you have a bond free repair kit, which means you're gonna repair your vehicle 15 times faster, with which is a bit bad because by default this is 12.28, which is a lot. Like the Kunzenpanzer repair is like in 7 seconds at the end of 10.7, so yeah, that's not good. Well, let's put the vehicle to full max out thing over here. What we wanna do is reinforce suspension, and now you can go 5 kilometers faster on the soft. You're gonna turn a bit faster, which is always welcome. Next, you wanna increase your dispersion. Actually, you wanna decrease your dispersion to the cost of aim time. Now, what you wanna put is to give yourself a bit more view range because you will need it. Probably want to put a survivability slot. Probably this is, I do not recommend this build, but it's gonna be good. And over here I will not pick anything. Now in terms of the equipment, you really want to put a gun rammer. I personally, because I like to play the STRV-1030 more aggressive, like to be in front other than a sniper, I will pick the improved hardening just to have stronger tracks and to repair them on green whenever I repair my tank. And on top of that, I will use the bounty optics just to have better view range, but it's still not enough. Now, because this is a German tank, a German tank destroyer, probably you'll have concealment, camouflage, recon probably, and maybe situational awareness, or on some crews maybe you want to have repairs. So that will be actually no, because this is a commander, driver, and radio. We're gonna take repairs back from them. So yeah, everyone's gonna be a bit crammed inside. So that's not gonna be like really good news for the team, for the crew itself. But yeah, this will be probably my setup for this vehicle. This will be like more of a frontal heavy, but if you have Prohorovka, well, what I'll use for Prohorovka maybe like bounty exhaust, probably like this, to have the setup just to be myself more sneaky. As you can see, 44% stationary camo, 30 moving camo, and we're not even full. Don't worry, you can just always put a chocolate in and you have enough view range to spot for yourself. And on top of that, look at this camo and this stationary camo as well, and moving camo. This is insane. This tank is gonna be really sneaky. It's gonna be insane. And maybe if you just want to have the better DPM, yeah, 0.33 dispersion in its travel mode, it's gonna be really good. The aiming time as well, and 4121 DPM. This tank is gonna rock. It's gonna go like hot knife to the butter to the enemies. Or maybe if you don't want to put the exhaust, you want to put ventilation and make yourself to give yourself more view range, better DPM and everything. So yeah, you can have like multiple builds depending on what's your playstyle or whatever you want to play. Or maybe if you never want to put the siege mode, you can just go for the improved bounty aiming and just have yourself raw DPM tank that has good mobility and actually has 45 millimeters of armor to boot. So yeah, I'm a bit afraid of when those vehicles are gonna come to the live game, because those vehicles can be really dangerous in hands of good players. But the limiting factor can be, as I mentioned, fighting versus hit rounds, the 3 degrees of gun depression. You have to know what you're doing as well, so you don't get caught by the enemies. but when you have this good camouflage and this good firepower, this can be only one thing: disaster for the enemies. If this vehicle is going to be played by really good players that they know how to play aggressive, they know how to switch forward, they know how to double push, they know how to use the vision, so they know how to work reach lines. So yeah, this vehicle is gonna be a bit dangerous, but is it really worth the 27 tokens? That is 9 pieces of bounty equipment. Keep that in mind. But you know, I haven't seen any wargaming sale. It's like when the Kunzenpanzer managed to got into introduced, it was 21 or 24 tokens, and now it's 12. So this is what I'll do for the Capazanda 3 as well, just to, you know, make the most use of out of my tokens, because those vehicles at a point or not, they're still gonna be in the game, because as we saw with the 777 with the A phase 1, they're in the store for 3 years or summer, something like that, and they are still available to buy even in today. So this was the video. Hopefully it was informative, hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully this was all you needed to know before you buy the Capazander 3. Yeah, you're gonna be probably, some people might like it, some people might not like it, but I really wish that we could get like the taste of this vehicle. No one has it. No one has it yet. I'm gonna put some live footages, if not on the screen as well, so you can see how this vehicle looks, what's the side of this vehicle, and how testers play with this vehicle. So without further ado, thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one, and bye bye.